This is the Center of Excellence for Innovation and especially tourism research. So now we have our eminent personality with us. So I would like to hand over VN Prabhakar sir for his presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm really delighted to be part of this webinar, and I really thank the Department of Tourism and Drs. Madhuri Sawant and Rajesh Ragade. Archaeology and tourism, it's intertwined actually. The two, in the context of India, it's really interrelated and inseparable, I would say, because as Dr. Sawant told, 42% of the tourists they belong to the cultural tourism category, and they come to visit most of the monuments and the very famous destinations like Taj Mahal, be it Ajanta, Ellora, or Sarnath, Bodh Gaya, Nalanda. Everything is connected with archaeology, and Archaeological Survey of India plays a very major role in maintaining them, creating an environment for the visit of tourists also. So in this presentation, I would like to concentrate on one aspect of tourism that is related to Harappan civilization, because in India, our one of the oldest civilization is Harappan civilization, and we have several sites in India, but particularly I would concentrate on Dholavira here. Before that, I would kind of bring a brief idea about what is ASI and what kind of monuments we preserve, and what is the role of ASI in promoting tourism also. So if we look into India, I mean, ASI is a very old organization. It's nearly 160-year-old now, and we have a national list of monument and sites that's around 3691, and the individual count may go around 5,000. And the second category of listing goes to the states within India. They have another 6,000 monuments and sites. Then there are lakhs and lakhs of unprotected sites, which comes under the purview of both center and state. So these unprotected sites and monuments, they are listed by the National National Mission for Monuments and Antiquities. That's a separate mission set up by the Government of India. So out of these 3,691 monuments and sites, we have 32 World Heritage properties in India, and another 6 in the natural category. But cultural category, we have 32 monuments and sites, and out of which 22 are under the direct control of AS. And if you can see this map, it is the location of all these World Heritage properties. And we also have 142 ticketed monuments. So not all the monuments are ticketed, only a handful of monuments are ticketed. And this is the kind of statistics, I mean, how much we earn from these ticketed monuments. It is around 338 crores, because our ticketing system is very minimal. It is only to control the number of visitors into a monument. It is not on a commercial basis. But the emphasis here is that these monuments play a very important role in promoting the tourism. So if you look into the tourism statistics, which is published by the Department of Tourism, Government of India, you can very well see, I mean, maybe not this year, there will be this kind of growth due to the COVID pandemic, but we have been seeing a very steady rise of tourism annual growth throughout the years, and India ranks 22nd place in the international tourism. So there is a very big role of cultural tourism in India. A lot of monuments and sites are there, natural sceneries are there, sites associated with the natural settings are there. So it's a kind of a mind-boggling themes and categories we can think of as enlisted by Dr. Sawant also. So looking into the role of AIS, I mean, what we are looking today, it's a kind of decades and even centuries of work by the archaeologists and historians. Like this is the kind of excavation which was carried out at Sarnath in the early 1900s, which gave us our national emblem. If you can see the lion capital, it came from Sarnath. It was on a pillar. This is the pillar. It was broken later on. So it was the lion pillar capital discovered at Sarnath, and ultimately it became the lion emblem. And interestingly, Sarnath, we are proposing for a World Heritage nomination. Maybe next year we will be nominating this site as a World Heritage property, along with many other sites in northern India. So similarly, these are the other excavated remains at Sarnath. Similarly, Nalanda, it is a very is another example, because this was completely buried under debris and centuries of archaeological deposits. It was excavated again in 1930s, and the entire site was laid bare, and now it's a World Heritage property, and it is also one of the major destinations of Buddhist pilgrimage and even Buddhist tourism circuit in northern India. And one more example I would quote here is Rani Ki Vav in Gujarat. If you look into the, I hope many might have visited Rani Ki Vav, but if we look into the historical pictures, this one is 1948, the earliest image we have. You can see this was just a pool of muddy earth, and only the well shaft was visible here. But later on, gradually, when the clearing happened, if you look into the slides, you can see how much of work was put forth by the archaeologists by documenting each and everything, reconstructing them, because you see everything was in a debris, everything had fallen down, and reconstructing them, identifying each and every sculpture to their original location, understanding the ancient building techniques, and also the iconographic techniques of the images displayed there. So gradually it was reconstructed, and you see the present Rani Ki Vav, and ultimately it is also now inscribed in the World Heritage list. So this is a painstaking work. What we go and enjoy at monuments, it is centuries or maybe decades of hard work by archaeologists, and documentation by both the archaeologists and historians, and you can see a lot of publications on this emanating from this later on. Now we have a very good potential of documenting them to the fullest extent. Like I understand Rani Ki Vav has been documented using the latest laser scanning techniques. Now we know the location of each and every sculpture. In future, by chance some damage occurs, then we can immediately relocate these sculptures to the original location. So that is the kind of future planning we are having, and we involve all kind of latest techniques in understanding them. So coming to the Harappan context, I mean, again in Gujarat, there is this Harappan site known as Dholavira. It is one among the 5 largest Harappan cities of 3rd millennium BCE, that is nearly 4,500 years old. So it was discovered in 1966 and excavated from 1989 to 2005. And you can see one of the well-preserved Harappan cities. We don't have this kind of preserved Harappan city anywhere in the Indian subcontinent. Be it Harappa, be it Mohenjo-daro, be it Kalibanga, be it Lothal. This is the by far the best preserved Harappan cities, mainly because of the stone elements used in the architecture. So we have complete examples of gateways. You can see one of the gateways, it is there. The location is here, and the kind of elaborate security arrangement, because this gateway, it has to be entered through another gateway. It might have been guarded by a security person. So some important person might have been living here and controlling the entire city, which was housing nearly 20,000 population. And interestingly, this city is located on an island in Rann of Kutch, very remotely located, and looking into those ages, that is nearly 4,500 years old, it is mind-boggling to even believe that such a city existed in such a remote location. And another very important thing what the research here at Dholavira revealed is that this kind of gateway had sophisticated pillar elements. You see these kind of pillar elements. It was found previously in Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, but we did not know about their function. But here we are seeing them in the original location, and that's how we could understand they were pillar elements. And we also came to know about this large 10-sized Harappan inscription. This is very large, 3.5 meter in length, 60 centimeter in height, and 10 letters. Each one is formed in the form of a inlaid pattern set on a wooden board. Now the wood has been completely disintegrated. Now we have only this inscription. So this is a unique find, and one of the remarkable and most spectacular findings from Dholavira is these kind of rocket reservoirs. These rocket reservoirs are big. We have, I think most of you might have heard about the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro. It has been told as the Great Bath. But here, these reservoirs, they are nearly 4 times or 5 times bigger than the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro. And you can see they have been cut into the bedrock and was used for storing water. So we're looking into these unique features. They had a very well elaborate water storage system, which is seen nowhere in the entire Harappan civilization, and it is unique to this part of India because of very minimal rainfall, and whatever efforts they could do, they harnessed the rainwater and stored them. And one more reservoir is situated to the east of the main city, and it's so huge. It's nearly 5 times bigger than the Great Bath, and it has this elaborate arrangement of steps going into that, all datable to 4,500-year-old, and there is a huge step well here. You can see located within the reservoir, and this is the earliest step well one can say in the Indian subcontinent. And definitely, if we trace the step wells of Western India, particularly Gujarat and Rajasthan, and again, that's a unique example of water management system. Even today, it's a requirement for us, because to store water, to harness water, to know how to create these kind of reservoirs. So this is a unique example what we can learn from our ancestors. And this kind of research, what research we have done on Dholavira, it's a continuation of research being carried out since the 1830s. So scholars have been visiting many sites, but the serious research started around 1920-21 onwards, and we came about the entire gamut of Harappan civilization, their coexistence with the Mesopotamian civilization, the Oman civilization, and the Iranians, Central Asians, and now we have a very good chronology extending from the Indian subcontinent to Egypt. So we know that we are contemporary with these great civilizations. We also interacted with them, and with this entire knowledge, we can now understand the Harappan civilization. We can know the context, we can know the extent, we can know their site distribution, and this is how we draw the site distribution analysis. We come to know what kind of cities were there, how many major cities were there, how many smaller cities, then towns, then villages, hamlets. So we categorize the ancient sites as according to their size, according to their layout and architecture, and we have nearly 2,500 Harappan sites, out of which 5 are termed as very large sites that could be the regional capitals controlling a huge area of nearly 1.5 or 1 million square kilometers. So this is the kind of sophistication the Harappans had. I mean, we traded extensively with the Mesopotamians. The Mesopotamian texts of the 3rd millennium BC mention about the kind of imports they had from the Harappans, what kind of beads they were having, what kind of wood, furniture, then playful things like peacock, monkey. So many different categories of things were exported by the Harappans, and Dholavira served as one of the most important manufacturing center of this kind of beads. And extensive research has been carried out, because we go in a very micro level kind of research. I mean, one is the larger documentation, site distribution. Then if we go to the micro level, we take each and every category of the artifact, we do the microscopic analysis, we do the surface pattern analysis, and we understand different technological aspects. So this kind of analysis was done to understand the bead manufacturing technologies, because to manufacture these kind of beads, to make a hole into these beads, one need to have a sophisticated drill bit, harder than that stone. So the Harappans were using a very unique kind of stone. So this research was conducted on the stones. Then also we go to the very even nano level. We go to the scanning electron microscope analysis and understand the kind of technology, what kind of abrasions the drills make inside the bead holes. Then we categorize different kind of technologies, and we also understand how these beads reach the Mesopotamian sites. For example, these kind of polish we find inside a manufactured bead that is used by the Harappans, the kind of drills used by the Harappans, that is comparable with the beads coming from Mesopotamia. This is from an impression from a bead coming from Mesopotamia, having a similar kind of polish. We say it as a polish to compare them with other drilling techniques, and one can very easily distinguish the polish between these two beads. So all these kind of analysis go into the history of a site, archaeology of a site. We know about various facets of the site, which is ultimately the most basic component of a person who is visiting the site. A tourist visiting the site, one has to understand what is the importance of the site. It is not a picnic spot. One has to also appreciate the historical character, historical narrative of a site, so that he or she can very well appreciate what they are visiting. It's not only to roam around the site and come back. So all these basic inputs, what we do, it is translated into reports, translated into brochures, translated into various kind of publications that goes into the websites, publicity material for attracting more and more tourists. This is another example of understanding the ancient textiles. Like what we found is that inside a copper bead, we found very minute fragments of a thread stuck inside. So again, we analyzed under a scanning electron microscope, and we found that this thread is of the cotton variety. So this kind of micro analysis we do, and that's how we reconstruct our past and we understand our past. So a series of researches were carried out concentrating on Dholavira and also understanding other sites like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. And this is a research carried out by an American scholar, and he has reconstructed how Dholavira played a very crucial role in procuring the raw materials from the nearby raw material sources and exporting them. So some of the things they were procured by the Dholavira people and exported to Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. In return, they are getting some specialized product from northern Pakistan, and it is reaching Dholavira. So think of that 4,000-year-old scenario. Without any sophisticated communication network system, kind of interaction between different sites, how they could manage. So it's a kind of a mind-boggling thing. So there are various categories what we have done, and one of the most important contribution of Dholavira is that the export of raw materials known as agate carnelian. Agate carnelian, it was used for making beads, and even now in Khambat, I mean, if one can do a kind of a tourism highlighting this continuity of the Harappans and the Harappan craftsmanship, how it is surviving to the present day, Khambat is the best example, because in Khambat in Gujarat, it's located somewhere here. So it has still preserved the Harappan bead manufacturing techniques, and even today the Khambat craftsmen, they reproduce the same kind of beads manufactured by the Harappans in a traditional technique. So all these kinds can be interrelated. These Khambat craftsmen, they produce various kind of beads that is sold in the market, that is exported to European and American countries. So they also participate in the kind of the traditional knowledge system, which is also used in a more modern way. So we have done a series of research both on materials, metals. So this is a compilation of many different materials, like you can see agate carnelian, a metal like lead, a stone like steatite, another stone known as chert, where different stones are coming to Dholavira. So it's a very huge network. I mean, it's unbelievable to see that they were having contacts with sites. They have contacts with cultures separated by from 500 kilometers to maybe 2,500 kilometers in those ages. So that is the kind of understanding. One more very important component is the pillar elements. I showed you briefly about the pillar element which was used in the gates. So near Dholavira, we have a quarry site where they were manufacturing the pillar elements. Then they were getting it to the site and polishing them, and ultimately they are exporting them. And you can see these kind of polished stone pillar members they were manufacturing. This is from Harappa, which is 800 kilometers from Dholavira. This is from Mohenjo-daro, which is 500 kilometers from Dholavira. So in a 3rd millennium BCE context, stone elements manufactured from Dholavira, they are exported to Mohenjo-daro, they are exported to Harappa. So each pillar element, it weighs around 200 to 300 kilograms. So you can imagine how much effort they might have put into to kind of quarry them, to finish them, then ultimately export it to distant cities. So all these components forms part of the kind of ultimately promoting a site or promoting a particular culture to cater to various needs of tourism. So I mentioned briefly about the Mesopotamian trade. So this is how the 3rd millennium BC cultures look like. Here we have Harappan civilization, some Central Asian cultures were there, Afghanistan, that's known as the Helmand civilization. We have Mesopotamians here. Then we have in the Persian Gulf region, Dilmun, then Magan, that is Oman region. So all these were contemporary to each other. And Mesopotamians, they were the advanced civilization at that point of time. They had written evidences, they have written records mentioning various categories of artifacts coming from Harappa. And this has been confirmed from the archaeological evidence coming from Mesopotamia itself. If you look into various sites like Kish, Nippur, Ur, and Lagash, Mari, so you can see Harappan artifacts. These are typical Harappan artifacts. The seals, the beads, they are found there. So this is a 100% confirmation of Harappan materials going there, clearly establishing our contacts, clearly establishing our entrepreneurship, clearly establishing the maritime contacts during those early part of the civilization. So we have various other components also. We look into various things. We also look into the clothing. We also look into that diet part, what kind of things they were eating into. So we also analyze these kind of cereals and pulses, all those kind of things coming from the archaeological site. It is looked under a microscope, and then we try to understand each and every component. That's how we also reconstruct how certain kind of food item came into the archaeological record, and at what time it came into the human record, and all those stuff. So with this background, I mean, I would draw the attention of what the Department of Tourism, Government of India, they have announced 17 sites as iconic destinations, iconic tourist sites. It was announced by the Government of India in 2018-19 in the budget session, and they have listed various sites, and I mean, most spread across India. So they have been planned for development as an iconic tourist destination, so that it can have various kind of facilities. So the main vision is that to develop these sites in a holistic manner, and to focus on various issues like connectivity, better facilities, experience, skill development, and all those stuff. Also the local community, how the local community can be involved, the craftsmanship can contribute in the trade, and that can also supplement the economy. So all these kind of things were put together, and this entire list was prepared, and Dholavira was one among them. So I would tell how Dholavira has been it has come into the list because of this extensive research carried out by the Archaeological Survey of India, the kind of spectacular findings. And now Dholavira is emerging as a very important tourist destination. I have been visiting Dholavira for the past 27 years or so, and I have been seeing the vast difference. I mean, the connectivity, the improvement in the connectivity, the improvement in the visitor facilities, the improvement in the staying facilities. More and more hotels are coming, and the connectivity has really improved. And also there is a recent development of connecting Dholavira with the nearest airport, that is Bhuj, which will reduce the traveling time from 5 hours to hardly 1.5 hours or 2 hours. So that is the kind of planning being done so that it can be visited. And there are several localities nearby Dholavira which are also developed. There are natural sceneries are there. Then there is a huge flamingo sanctuary is there. The flamingos, they migrate during the winter season here, and they nestle here, and that is also another attraction. So Dholavira is a kind of a component. It's a kind of a package that has many different ancillary attractions, along with the most important attraction of one of the largest Harappan cities, a well-planned city, many examples of water harvesting, technology, and all those aspects. And we are also planning a site museum there, which will be of international standards to kind of highlight the entire Harappan civilization. So if you look into the planning, I mean, the city was planned as a parallelogram. It has various individual components. It has individual fortifications. It has very good attractions nearby. You can see the Run of Kutch. It is very close, hardly 2.5 to 3 kilometers from the site. From the site itself, one can see the Run of Kutch and see the flamingos flying in large numbers, maybe millions of flamingos. They come and nestle, and also some unique geological formations. The island, Kadir Island, is itself a geological kind of an attraction going back to nearly 150 million years. It dates back to the Jurassic period, and there are very good fossils lying all around the island, which is another attraction. And there are numerous smaller rivers, and during the monsoon period, it's a very good attraction to see those rivers coming. And we have these kind of facilities there. ASA has a very basic facility there, and ultimately an international standard museum will also come up. And another major attraction is the kind of the local lifestyle. I mean, this is the kind of attraction one should concentrate of bringing more tourists, or to understand our culture, understand our lifestyles, the kind of handicrafts. If you see the different communities here, what kind of handicrafts they have. I mean, we can manufacture these kind of handicrafts, and already there's a thriving industry in Kutch handicrafts. But if you look into the jewelry, they are very unique. The kind of bangles, you see these kind of bangles, it's very unique to this area, from these kind of bangles to these kind of solid bangles, and various kind of jewelries, and the kind of pastoralist. You can see the dress style here, how they are using the goats and sheep in the life. The kind of bulls here. This is a separate category of bulls known as Conkerage bull, which is so unique, which having its so kind of unique horns here, the kind of traditional bullock carts with enormous carvings, use of iron elements into that. So there's a plethora of attractions here, and that's how one can really develop this region into a tourist destination. And that's how an agency was engaged by the Department of Tourism to kind of project what kind of developments Dholavira can be involved in making it as an iconic tourist destination. And they have created this kind of vision plan, how to move away their roads, because now at present there is a road moving very close to the site. They have proposed for diversion of the road far away from the site, creating visitor facilities here away from the site, maybe 300 meters away from the site, a kind of an interpretation center here, so that they can be oriented, the tourists can be oriented here before going to the site, and then they can move around the site. And we have also developed various kind of movement pattern, because the site has to be visited with a specific kind of orientation, the specific kind of visitation pattern, so that they can understand the site in a better manner. So we have come out with three plans of visitation of shorter, medium, and longer durations. And ultimately this will be implemented once the entire project is implemented. And the last thing is I want to highlight is that we have also nominated Dholavira for the World Heritage category. This year, January, we have sent the nomination, and maybe next year it will be inscribed in the World Heritage list. So that's how, starting from the discovery of the site in 1996 to its nomination as a World Heritage property in 2020, it has been a very long journey. But ultimately, that's how it has become a very big tourist attraction. It has entered into the international map. Many foreign tourists come. They know about the site, and the research we carry out into various aspects of this 3rd millennium BCE civilization will ultimately add into the knowledge base, and also attracting more and more tourists to the site. So we have nominated this site based on 3 categories, criteria 2, 3, and 4, that is defined by the UNESCO. They have defined 6 categories, 6 criteria for any site to be nominated. And among the 6 criteria, we can select which criteria suits very well to our own context. So we have selected these 3 criteria and nominated this site for inscription in the World Heritage Property. And I hope once it is inscribed in the World Heritage Property, then it will attract more and more facilities, more and more funding, and also a better visitor experience. So this is how I wanted to kind of impress upon you the role of archaeology, the role of research in promoting a site, in making it visible to the international community or the Indian community or the local community, how the handicrafts of the region that can help really boost the economy, overall economy, also the regional economy, and also participate in the overall visitation experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
It was a very, very good presentation. In fact, most of our students are enlightened. I'm getting a lot of questions from the students. We'll take it at the end. So, dear students, participants, here you can see that sir has briefed about how archaeology and tourism can be clubbed and what kind of initiatives the ASI is taking for developing the tourist sites. So you can here go in for the geology tourism, maybe painting. Food and archaeology is again one of the important topics which sir has highlighted. Then he told about the iconic sites, and a very important topic which stepped to my mind was water harvesting tourism, or maybe water and tourism, how we can club it and how we can develop some packages which shows the systems, water-based systems, the old water-based systems. Moreover, the food and archaeology, this is also an untouched topic which anybody can work on it. So, sir, with this, thank you so much. And I'm very happy to announce an important thing here is that we had the archaeology, the Ministry of Science and Technology had initiated a project that is Scientific Heritage Research Initiative, in which myself and sir, we have got two important projects. That is for 3 years. That one is on natural aging, investigation and microanalysis of Ajanta cave paintings, which we will be studying on the biological degradation of murals and causes. Plus, we are going to study on the environmental factors, humidity, then CO2 monitoring, noise pollution, and so many other aspects. We are also going to, of course, this is an interdisciplinary work with chemical technology department. And Dr. Rajesh Ragde has again got an important project that is related to archaeology and tourism, that is investigation and analysis of the degradation of the natural and cultural heritage at Lunar Crater. So these are the important projects we will be doing in the coming 3 days. So the students from all over the world, if you all want to know more about Ajanta caves or maybe Lunar Crater is a 50,000-year-old crater near our area. It is just 3 hours distance from here. It's a very, very unique site, having archaeological and many other sites, and we are working on that. Again, in future, if you want to collaborate, we are open for you. So with this, thank you so much, sir.